Hey, cousins. So I was looking at the two ladies mid card titles. The titles being the U.S. Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. Okay, and I'm just looking at the way both of them are conducting business with Lyra Valkyria and Zelina Vega, and I find it really interesting what is happening and what is being promoted in terms of the ladies and these mid card titles. Now, before we get into it and break it down, and y'all get in them comments and do your thug thizzle, I always felt that the vets, they're veterans, all of them in their mid to late 30s now, are veterans. Being called antiques and retros is just nasty work. But anyway, I always felt like Charlotte, Becky, Alexa, Bailey, I can appreciate if they just play in the mid card and kind of elevate those titles. One title is actually getting that, bump. Although it's nothing exciting, I'm not all that interested in it. At least they're trying to give some prestige while keeping a new buck, Lyra Valkyria, in the mix. Meanwhile, you look over at the US title, and I feel like they put the onus on Zelina Vega to kind of give that title some type of prestige. So when you go look, let's talk about the U.S. Women's title. Zelina Vega has held the title for 58 days as of today. You understand? And the last time that she, you know, went down and actually defended that title, it hasn't been as grand and as great as it could have been. Also my dates, I just want to shout out to that cousin that took the time to go down and get the dates from when I was talking about the tag team titles and how they just completely defunct and useless. I appreciate that shit. Now I'm looking at a website and it's obviously from Britain or whatever, and so they got the date and the month kind of backwards, so that probably threw me off a little bit. But I appreciate, shout out to you, cousin, for going through and getting them dates together. So if I'm jacking up the dates, y'all know what I mean. But if you want to come in and gather your girl, I appreciate it. So since Zelina Vega defeated Chelsea Green, and I'm gonna say it was April 18th, 2025, this is what we had to deal with in terms of title. So Zelina Vega got the title on April of 2025, 2025. That was the title change. Okay. Prior to that one that I said was April 18th, she just flat out had a regular match against Chelsea Green. I guess that gave her the number one contender spot. Now listen to this. Before we even get down to the title, Zelina Vega, another match against Chelsea Green. Then it was Piper Niven and Zelina Vega. Okay. And then it was the Royal Rumble before then. So when we go back to the women's United States title, after she beat Chelsea to get the title, Chelsea held the title for 132 days, by the way. She then went on to have a match against Piper Niven. And then she was in a match against, again, Zelina Vega and the Hervis, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven. And then we had her in the Money in the Bank, which was nothing was going on for whatever reason. She was in a qualifying match, and Gulia beat her for that one. And then we had a title match again against Chelsea Green. And then Zelina Vega was in Alba Fire's face. And then we had a Bakersfield brawl with Zelina Vega and Piper Niven. That was the last time she defended that title on June 6th of 2025. So when you think about that, you tell me where in that is given prestige, is given, ooh, everybody wants that title. The only person that's shown interest in that title has been Gulia. So when we go over and we check out what Lyra was doing with her international continental title, we have to remember it was a whole tournament for that title, okay? That was a little more, seemed more interesting than Chelsea Green. We could go back and retroactively think about that title before Chelsea Green picked it up in her, you know, what you call it, tourney. Anyway, this is Lyra Valkyria defeated Dakota Kai to everyone's shock. Mind you, she was already mixing it up with Ivy Now. I thought Ivy Now was going to be more of a threat to Lyra Valkyria, but they didn't want to go with Ivy Now. Then we had the Royal Rumble. Then we went into the Elimination Chamber, and Bayley defeated Lyra Valkyria, but that was just for the Elimination Chamber match. So boom. Then Lyra had a match with Alba Fire on main event when there was nothing for her to do. In terms of her title defense, Lyra went against Dakota Kai, Ivy Now, Zoe Stark twice, Raquel Rodriguez, Zoe Stark. I thought she was going to drop the title to Raquel. I thought they was going to do something with that. Then she went again against Zoe Starks twice, both in house shows. Okay, a lot of these are house shows and in the online stream. And then on Raw, it was Lyra and she beat Bayley. And then it was the tag team situation where her and Becky Lynch, Bayley and Lyra went in, right? And they defeated B-Fab, Michin, Katana, and Kaden Carter, Maxine Dupree, and Natalia, and the Hervis and Pure Fusion Collective, which was Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks. Now, you look back at that, we done got rid of Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. The Pure Fusion Collection, the stud line is completely dissolved. Maxine and Natalia, I don't know when they're going to actually start kicking off as a tag team and getting in the field. And so, B-Fab and Michin, y'all already know what I feel about that. Do I really need to have you turn your volumes down, take your earplugs out, and get B-Fab away from Michin? I just figured, we get that on in there as we're talking about this stuff here. Then we get to the women's tag team title with Becky and Lyra defeated the Judgment Day of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to take the tag team titles. So Lyra was a double champ. Although it was only for one day, that was significant. Because meanwhile, the U.S. champ can't even get a pop when she comes into the ring. Okay, then we had another match. Lyra defeated Becky Lynch in a very hard fought match. And then we went down to the Money in the Bank, and Becky Lynch has taken the title off of Lyra Valkyria. Lyra held that title for 145 days, okay? She did promos. She was embroiled in a situation with Bayley. They started the program where Becky Lynch took Bayley out. It's a lot going on. Ivy now has for the most part, been usurped and removed from the IC championship or continental championship conversation. It is now Becky, Bayley, and Lyra. I think that's a good position to be in for a mid-card. Now, let's go back on over to Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega, right now, I don't see where this is elevating or putting her in any light. Now, you got Michin, who is setting herself up to be a hardcore, I don't know, maybe a hardcore title the contender. Are they bringing the hardcore title back so Michin can have something to walk around with? Because I'm not really sure why Michin can't go after that IC title. Now she has pivoted with B-Fab to want to fight for the, damn near defunct tag team titles. Zelina Vega has had a very long and significant career over in TNA and, other independent promotions or whatever the case may be. She is 4'11", 34 years old, and 106 pounds. Okay. And, it's nothing wrong with any of that. Those are great stats. She has 15 years of in-ring experience. And the issue that I'm having is you can't fucking tell. You can't tell. So when you read some of the comments when we're talking about Zelina Vega, somebody said, I always wanted to be like Zelina, but as of late, I really do not. Her in-ring is sloppy. She tries to be a work rate wrestler, usually fails horribly. She's probably still a good promo, but they never let her talk, so she might regress there too. Someone said that Zelina had a long way to go to build herself up in the WWE despite being a U.S. champ right now. She hasn't impressed, and the crowd can see through that. She has more fun and hateable as an egotistical heel instead of a I love Lucha Libre and Rey Mysterio babyface. Her moveset isn't that bad, but leaves a lot to be desired. She is constantly sloppy in her matches. I like her, but she has to step her game up in certain areas. You know, it really says a lot when we're talking about someone with 15 years in-ring experience and her in-ring is sloppy, leaves a lot to be desired. I can't suspend my imagination or reality to really think that someone who is all of 80 pounds, I don't know where this 190 came from, all of 85 pounds is got enough rotation to flip fucking Piper Niven over on her ass to do, the cold red. I just don't see it. I think it's ridiculous. Her cosplaying has taken me all the way out. And the fact that they have left it up to her to elevate this title, I find to be not a good idea. I don't think it was a good idea. I think they should have put one of the more seasoned girls in there. I think she would have had a really good back and forth with someone like, a Charlotte, even a returning fucking Alexa Bliss, right? Like Natalia would have been a fantastic sparring partner and somebody to go back and forth with in terms of promo work on who's worthy of this U.S. title. I would say when in terms of Lyra Valkyria, the only thing that really is holding her back is her promo skills. But as of late, she has somehow won over a little bit of the audience with her presentation. So the audience is saying, woo, woo, they're saying something. They say any reaction is a good reaction. You don't want the audience to be completely silent when you're walking to the ring like Zelina Vega. Lyra has gotten that bump from her homegirl, Becky Lynch. That's also something that is in Lyra's corner. Becky Lynch is trying to put her homegirl over by any means necessary. And because Bayley is already, was mixing it up and working with her in NXT and stuff, Lyra has the cushion for the pushing. Zelina Vega does not have any of that. And you have somebody like Michin, again, Natalia, Maxine Dupree. Okay, even though if they're on Raw, that's fine. It don't matter. Okay, looking at SmackDown, you could have had her mixing it up with some of the SmackDown girls in the back. The fact that Julia is all you have tells me she's gonna be dropping that title to Julia here in a minute. And then what? We're gonna watch Julia be elevated and a rocket put on her back, and Zelina Vega is gonna go back into cosplay hell. I think it's really telling and really weird how they are handling both of these mid-card titles. It's like night and fucking day. A few comments about Lyra. They said not really interesting character mid at Mike. She's good in ring, but she still's got to improve to become a true main eventer and be loved by the people. Somebody said they have always been great in ring, but she's taken a leap this year, and it's not just in ring. She's gotten better. She's also a solid promo. Wouldn't say solid, but because of the storyline, it's interesting. Somebody says she's great in ring, but still needs to improve on the mic and her character work. She looks like she's getting there, but the crowd connection is not where it needs to be for someone to be trusted with that title. After she defeats Becky Lynch and her and Bayley mixes it up, that title should be sought after by the girls. I don't know, being in a constant fight with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven and Alba Fire has done Zelina Vega no favors. If anything, it's elevated Chelsea Green and the Hervis, and that's to Chelsea Green's credit because the character work has trumped whatever else is going on in the ring. Zelina Vega has not done anything with that title, and it's really sad to see. Lyra Valkyria on the other end, it shows when people are willing to get behind you and see potential, that is what happens. Now you got two horsewomen, got one of the rookies in a conversation. Now we're looking at the IC title. I'm not looking at the US title. Zelina Vega ain't doing nothing with it. I'm gonna leave it right there. And I want y'all to tell me what y'all think if you made it this far. And I'll catch you on the next one.